another question here. This one is from Bethany on Facebook.
How do you go from being a serious night owl to being an early bird? I really want and need to make that transition.
You've got to make sure that like you legitimately can work with that schedule. Because I think about Josh getting up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Yeah, most days I get up somewhere between 3:30 and 4:45.
Yeah, and it's like there's a piece of me that's like, man, I really admire that, would love to get up that early. Another piece of me admires the aesthetic that Josh has, that him and Bex have in their home. But in order to get up at 3:30 a.m., in order to have that aesthetic, there is a fundamental change that I would have to do in my life that for me isn't, it's not worth it just to get up at 3:30 a.m. Because to get up at 3:30 a.m., you have to go to bed at?
Usually 8 o'clock, maybe 7:45.
Right. And I'm just eating dinner at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. And I think it's even worse than that because we're told that like habit change, there's a whole lot around habit change right now. People, you've heard it 1,000 times in the last year, people talk about habit change. And here's one thing I'll tell you, that changing your habits won't change your life because you don't have the disposition to get up at 3:30 a.m.
Right.
I don't necessarily even want to. I didn't choose to. I get up that time on my own. This morning, I woke up at 4:04 a.m. and I just woke up. There was no alarm that got me up. Now, I did go to bed early. I am just predisposed to want to go to bed earlier, to get up earlier. That is the time of day that works best for me.
Right.
That's why I never prescribe this to anyone. You should wake up at 3:30. I think that would radically disrupt someone's life. It might change your life, but it's probably going to change it for the worse because now you're groggy, you're tired throughout the day. Maybe you're experiencing brain fog. You're not getting enough sleep. However, I'll give you some practical insights here. If maybe you do have that disposition, but your culture, this is what happened to me when I was in my late teens, early 20s, my culture was like, you're supposed to stay out late. And so I would stay out till midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., but that's not my disposition. And so how did I fix that? Well, I started going to bed every night at the same time.
Yeah.
If you have been going to bed at 8 o'clock for so long, how did you watch Family Matters before we had streaming?
He would do VHS recordings.
Oh my God. Get it on DVR.
Because that was racking my brain the whole time.
I just got the bootlegs.
Family Matters bootleg. Patent pending.
You know, there's something helpful, I think, about not attaching some adjustment you might need to work for life or some new agenda that you have to your identity. How do I become a morning person when I am a night owl? Maybe it's possible for you to just continue being the person that you are, but then to ask yourself, hey, what are some adjustments I can make to be able to meet this goal for this period of time, right? Because I've tried so many different things, and I don't think there's anything that's more true of me than the fact that I'm a night owl. When left to my own devices, I just work better when I stay up late and I get more done and so on. However, there are some priorities I have that motivate me to get up, but beyond external obligation. When it comes to the days we're in here, if I get up at 4:30 and I get out no later than 5, man, what a great drive here. It's like 45 minutes and it's just free flowing. And I love it so much that I'm excited to get up at that time because I love that drive. And then I get to go to a spot that I have. There's a monastery that I go to and I can just spend the first couple of hours of my day meditating. And if I need to sleep, I'll go to sleep right there in that monastery. You know what I mean? I got the bald head, so nobody bothers me. But I don't look at myself as being a morning person, as somebody that can ever be what Josh is by nature. But it's just an adjustment that I make because it benefits me to make it on those days. And so maybe not putting the weight up on yourself of redefining who you are, but just looking for some tools.
So here are a few things that I do that have helped me from a how-to perspective, from a very mechanical perspective, that have radically improved my sleep. First thing is, whenever possible, I go to bed at the same time every night. I go to bed the same time every night.
Yep.
Second thing I do, and this is probably the most important thing, grounding. I sleep on a grounding mat. I'm not trying to sell you one. We have a former podcast guest, Clint Ober, one of our most popular episodes ever, the grounding episode. Yeah. So many people have found value in that. So many people have experienced the benefits of grounding at night, sleeping on a grounding mat.
Yeah.
which radically improves people's sleep, reduces inflammation, reconnects you with the earth. And there's a ton of science behind it. You can find the book called Earthing at earthing.com, and you can find sleep mats over there as well. We'll put a link to that in the show notes.
I like the grounding too. You can totally go outside in your yard though and ground for 15, 20 minutes. I mean, you're not going to get the full benefits, but I'm only saying that because you don't have to buy anything to ground. Just go out in your yard and try it. Like there's a significant difference that I started feeling like once I grounded. And again, I always say it might be placebo, but if it is, that's okay. I'm okay with that. Placebo works too.
A few other things for sleep hygiene really quickly. Either earplugs. I use a company called Earpiece, like Peace, Earpiece. But I've replaced those now with the sleep phones that I use. Sleep phones. So I have, it's like a headband. So I look like Alex Caruso, and except I have hair. And I listen to like this meditative soundscape sound bath at night as I am sleeping. And that really helps with any outside noise, or just having some earplugs to help with any outside noise. In addition to that, either a sleep mask and or blackout curtains. At home, I don't have the blackout curtain, so I use a sleep mask. Doing both can be really helpful if you live in an area with a lot of light pollution. In Ohio, we don't have any light pollution, and so I don't need the blackout curtains. But that really helps with all that artificial light bombarding your house. And speaking of artificial light, cutting the screens out. Any blue light after dark it's critical, because it so disrupts, it tricks your circadian rhythm and makes you think that you're staring at the sun.
As soon as the sun goes down, put on a pair of blue blockers, and that will help dramatically. Don't eat less than 2 hours before bed.
Yes.
Alcohol like 6 hours before bed. Getting up in the morning with the sun and getting some sun first thing in the morning, that's really good to kind of help reset your circadian rhythm.
And looking toward the sun in the morning. When I go outside in the morning, it's still dark out when I'm outside, but as soon as the sun starts coming up, I'll go outside and do my stretches. I'm looking toward the sun in the morning, not staring directly at it, but looking toward the sun. And what that does is it notifies your body, oh, it is morning. We are awake. We've reset our circadian rhythm.
And as the sun is coming up, like you can totally look over the horizon and get some good rays.
Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.